Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Christopher Hall Show here on the Neil Haley Network. And I'm excited to welcome the program, the host, Dr. Christopher Hall. Dr. Hall, how are you? And so far, the guests you've had are just been so amazing. It's hard to top every week's stories, and that's what's so great about the Dr. Christopher Hall Show.
You're totally right, Neil. I'm so excited with our guest today. A champion on the football field, a champion in academics, and so if we're ready to get started, I'm ready to welcome him to the show. Let's do that. Let's welcome Dr. George Kunz to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, Mr. Haley and Dr. Hall. Thank you for taking the time to invite me, and maybe I could say some words that can maybe motivate or inspire some of our young folk out here across the country.
And that's one thing that's so big about it, is that's what Dr. Hall wants to do. That's one of his missions in life, is to motivate young people. Isn't that right, Dr. Hall?
That's certainly correct. You're totally right about that, Neil.
All right, so let's go ahead and hear these. I cannot wait to hear George's story. So go ahead, first question, Dr. Hall.
Certainly. So, George, tell us a little bit about growing up, say, in North Carolina.
Yep. I grew up in eastern North Carolina, family of four, a small coastal town by the name of New Bern, North Carolina, a very old town. It was founded in 1710, second oldest city in the state of North Carolina, behind Bath, North Carolina. Grew up in a very historically, predominantly African-American neighborhood in a section of New Bern called Duffyfield. Was able to go to a 2-year college called Chowan College, about 2 hours north of New Bern. And then I transferred to East Carolina University, where I majored in industrial technology, construction management. So, but I played football and basketball as a kid growing up in New Bern, growing up in North Carolina.
Interesting. It's so interesting when you talk about specifically enough your major for sure, but let's kind of jump back a little bit in growing up. It's kind of talking about specifically enough how you built that academic prowess. We can hear already you were focused on academics at an earlier age, meaning right before even getting into going to East Carolina. You could tell you really enjoyed school, or were had great mentors to show you how important academics are.
Right. I would lean more with the great mentors, because school didn't come as easy or natural as the athletic piece. So I had my mom and some great coaches and guidance counselors back in North Carolina that kind of steered me towards the academic and the school piece. And even then, it was a little difficult. I did really well on the playing field or the basketball court, but I didn't have the SAT or the ACT strong enough to go to a Division I school. My GPA was okay, but my SAT, ACT was not sufficient, so I had to go to a 2-year college, and that was great because I had a chance to get more mature in my academics and develop better study skills and things of that nature that really provided the foundation for me to go to grad school decades later. So, but the foundation that I was given,
Yes,
athletically and academically back in North Carolina really has served me well some 30 years later.
Well, it sounds like it, Dr. Kunz, for sure. And I look and listen to you, and it reminds me a little bit about my background. And the academics didn't always come so easy to me. And then I became a teacher, ended up, and I own a tutoring consulting company. and am tutoring high-level kids now and academics that are bright to ones that are having challenges. But I would have never thought in my days, but I had that foundation from my family. My mom and dad let me know how important academics were, even though I struggled a bit at the start. I have a goal someday to get a PhD, but I kind of got involved in many different things. I'm only 46, so there's still shots for me to do that. But it's amazing to listen to you and see that, as Dr. Hall knows, education is a lifelong process, Dr. Hall. Isn't that correct? And I know Dr. Koontz would agree with me as well, that we grow in our ability to educate ourselves throughout our lives if we want to be great mentors and teachers, right, Dr. Hall?
That's 100% correct, and I just love how we have our guests like Dr. Koontz. Him and I, we've got a lot in common. I certainly was not a great SAT taker. My scores weren't great. But this is the kind of inspiring stories and motivation that we need to hear for our young people. And so, I think I took the test probably 2 times. And so it's very incredible when we hear these stories. Definitely.
I took the test twice. And a lot of people would say that your second time would be, you will see a big jump. But there was a jump, but it wasn't large enough to propel me to go into a Division I school. So I wanted to go to school. I love school. I just had a conversation with my mother, who lives back in North Carolina, and she was telling me she was going through her storage unit and came across some of her kids' report cards, and she said that she saw a couple years where I had 100% attendance, and she said, "George, that tells me that when you were in the 5th and 6th grade, you were in love with school and school, my education. One thing about sport, I tell a lot of the youth out here and kids, at some point, the lights are going to go out in the stadium or the arena or the gym. But that the education that you receive when you was in that classroom or on that college campus is going to last your lifetime. And I would never thought that I would have went from struggling in high school to going to college and receiving my undergrad and receiving my master's and going to an institution like Marquette University in Milwaukee and receiving my PhD back in 2012. Graduated when I was 43 years old. The Green Bay Packers have been playing football since 1910. Over 10,000 players have played in at least one game for the Packers. Only 2 to go on and receive a PhD, and one of them is on the phone call with you today. And that's mainly because of some coaches and guidance counselors and teachers and principals and
That's tremendous. It's tremendous to know how your family was so for you. And I look at this and I think that we're talking, all 3 of us today, that are very good academically now, can continue to learn, enjoy learning. But at one time, we were struggling. And this is a message to teachers all over the world right now today listening to this program. Because I do have educators, especially with I started as an education show to syndication, celebrities, and everything. The ultimate message is life is about education. And when I hear your story, Dr. Koontz, I say to myself, you know what? 3 people on this phone today. At one point, some teachers might have had concerns about us, but we turned out fine. That's for sure, especially you 2. And it's amazing, and it's amazing to see how we kind of track kids and say this is where they're going, because we don't know our life's journey. And I think that that's one thing we have to look at, and when we structure our education system, is we cannot allow people from not being able to progress in life. And when we decide for them Dr. Hall, I think you could attest to that, especially being the ward of the state. I don't think certain people thought that when you were getting all those juvenile problems that you would go on and become a medical doctor. Is that right, Dr. Hall? There are many people that probably wrote you off very quickly, right?
That's very true. And I think, let me just say, and a lot of this is written actually in the book, but if you would look back on my high school career, you'd say, this is probably not a guy who's going to go very far academically, let alone become an ER physician. And I would just point this out. Believe it or not, there was a class called Survival in high school. I think it was 10th grade. And I actually failed that class. But again, and I'm going to leave this for people to read the book. But if you early on, as a young person from the inner city, there's a lot of things going on, and so the reading the book will explain that more. But I'm just so excited that we have Dr. George Koontz. He is extremely humble. He has risen from poverty to the greatest heights. He has attended Harvard University actually for management courses, and so he's very humble. He's leaving out some things there, so we're very excited to have him on the show today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thank you, Dr. Hall. But also, Mr. Haley, I just want to piggyback on what you said about teachers and students around the country. We can't give up on students that you may have in your class or in your building, because you never know what may be going on in that young person's life at home that may be affecting their performance in the classroom. Who would have thought, I would have went on, if you would have looked at my performance in middle school and high school, who would have thought that I would have went on to go to grad school, because my grades didn't reflect that when I was in middle school and high school. And also too, that light bulb came on. Sometimes that switch comes on a little bit later for some than others. So my advice to a lot of the teachers who have a tremendous job of educating the future leaders of our country, that is put into their hands, because a lot of our students are in the presence of our teachers more than they are with their parents.
Correct.
Because when they come home, a lot of times the student is they do the homework and then they go to bed. So the teacher and the administrators are given an extraordinary job of molding and teaching, and trying to get our youth to be at a place to assume and take over leadership at some point in their life.
You're so right, and I'm excited to hear about all this, because it makes me happy in so many ways to bring this up, because this is something that's missing. And I have arguments all the time as an educational advocate representing families that have children with special needs, that we can't write them off. And we write off lots of people. So great point, Dr. Koontz. Now let's go back to more of the story. And Dr. Hall has some really interesting questions to talk about, I guess, the college career now. So go ahead, Dr. Hall.
Sure. Tell us a little bit about, I think you mentioned your major there at East Carolina, and how important academics was for you when you were in college. And let's start there, I guess.
Yep. Well, that's a great question. My major at East Carolina, it kind of goes back to my father. My father was a contract painter. He used to paint apartments, houses, commercial type buildings. So I started working for my father when I was about 9 years old, and I didn't want to be a painter when I was thinking as a kid. When I grow up, I didn't want to be a painter. But that experience of being with my father sure impacted my decision to go into construction management, because when I was talking with my advisors on the college campus. They asked me, "What do you want to major in?" I said, "Well, I used to like working with my father, but I don't know if I want to be a contract painter. And I doubt you have any type of major that would fit that description." And they said, "Yes, George, we have a whole school. It's industrial technology, and your concentration would be construction management." And I said, "Really?" And they said, "Yes." I said, "We have a lot of former players and a lot of students all over the country that are either owning their construction company or they're working for large construction companies." And I said, "Well, maybe one day I'd like to graduate with
Yeah.
my degree in construction management and maybe learn how to build some apartments and duplexes and houses." And I was able to do that when I graduated, and was able to take some of the proceeds from which I made playing with the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks.
And that's tremendous to hear, because the fact is that you were concerned academically at that point in time where you were going to land. How all of these majors to choose from, what's going to be the best major for me, Dr. Kuntz? And now, because you're in academia, not just an athletic director, but now moving into the roles in administration at a university, you understand the fact of how kids have a difficult time choosing that major and sticking to the right major that'll fit their mold, fit who they are, right?
Right. And my advice is just go with your passion and what you love to do, what you like to do, what you have fun doing. And if you love it, at some point you will get paid to do that. But don't choose a major just because of there's a dollar attached to it. You choose what you love and what's in your heart. And I think each and every one of us have one or maybe more things that we are passionate about.
And when you fit all those things that you're passionate about into one type of thing, it really feels good. And when you're doing stuff that doesn't feel good without passion, it really is going to drain on you health wise, mentally, physically, and spiritually, for sure. Let's jump right in, Dr. Hall. When you talk about as being a doctor, something that makes you passionate every day, Dr. Hall?
Oh, definitely. Yes. And just like what Dr. Kuntz is talking about, strategies that you need to make it in athletics and academics to be a championship Super Bowl linebacker on the football field, the same thing with the emergency room. It's kind of a football field. There are a lot of things going on. You have to have direct communication with lots of people. And you have to certainly have passion in your heart to save individuals that are dying. So this is a message that Dr. Kuntz is given out to America, and we're very excited that he's on the show today.
Right.
All right, so let's kind of continue this conversation as our stories. I love telling stories, and really, what I'm hoping always when I fit people in to the Dr. Christopher Hall show, since I've been executive producer of and co-host, I want to fit the exact kind of story that Dr. Hall has in a lot of ways. And athletes, for some reason or another, are the ones that can tell these stories. And so go ahead, Dr. Hall, with the next question.
Sure, very much so. And so, Dr. Kuntz, tell us about your journey to play in the NFL. Was it a little bit different, or you tell us about that?
Well, it was a goal that I set when I was a young boy. But if you look back, if you would ask, if you walk into any fourth grade or fifth grade class around the country and ask the kids to raise their hand if they want to play Major League Baseball or play professionally in the NBA or NFL, just about everyone would. Just about all those kids would probably raise their hand because it's something that they see, and a lot of times because you see it, you want to kind of emulate that. I was no different than those young kids that would raise their hands, and but I had some talent, uh, but I tried hard. I developed some work habits because that's one thing you can gain. Uh, no matter how no matter how often you go into the weight room, you can't go from being 5'7" to 6'11". But what I found is that you can really train yourself to show up early and to stay late and to outwork your opponent or your teammate, and also be coachable, be willing to learn the plays, learn the instructions that your coaches or your teachers or your professors are trying to give to you. So growing up, I set a goal to play in the National Football League, and things just worked out for me from a health standpoint. Dr. Hall, you know also so often how many young people come in because they have a torn ACL or meniscus, or they have they've broken their ankle, or they dislocated the elbow.
Definitely.
So I was very fortunate to duck the injury bug for the most part in my youth. I got hurt a couple times in college and a couple times in the pros, but we know injuries are a part of the sport. But I was very fortunate to kind of steer clear of those injuries, and kept developing as a player. And I was able to play in college and got a chance to play for the Green Bay Packers and played in the NFL for almost a decade. I had a chance to go to 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl. So it was a great experience. But one thing that really sticks out to me is the friendships that I had with my teammates in the locker room in high school, middle school, college, and the pros. I had a unique bond with my teammates. Had a chance to do stuff with other kids or other people my age, and that was great. That was really. I think
Definitely.
that's vital for your development as a young person.
So, Dr. Kuntz, you didn't start out with Green Bay. You had to play. Was it the European League that you started out before? Yeah.
Yep, I went. Mm-hmm. Yep, I started out with the Atlanta Falcons. I didn't get drafted. I got a free agent shot with the Atlanta Falcons. I didn't make the team. I got cut. So I went back, and I started working for my father and taking classes to finish my degree. And an opportunity came in the NFL Europe. It was called the World Football League at the time. And they gave me an opportunity, and I took advantage of it. And I led the league in tackles. The team wasn't very good that I was on from a record standpoint. Had some good players, great coaches, but our record wasn't very good. But that didn't stop me from going out there and giving my all. And I was recognized by 4 teams in the NFL. I chose to go to the Green Bay Packers, and I was able to make the team with the Packers and play special teams the first 6 games, and end up playing in 128 games in the National Football League, and I started 118. And that all goes back to the foundation that my mom and my coaches and the faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, believing in Him, and just working my butt off, and just being kind to everyone. And just know that my purpose is to help people in my community, and whichever community I come from or whichever community I live in, try to go over and beyond to make sure I'm doing my part to leave this community or the community I come out of in much better shape in which I found it.
Wow, fantastic! And Dr. Hall always looks at, being a champion, and I know the next question Dr. Hall has involving being a champion.
Definitely. definitely, and just like to say, wow, what a hero, wow. And I mean, Dr. Coos has definitely showed us that there certainly is life after football, and you certainly can survive the NFL. And so, tell us, Dr. Coos, how did it feel to become a Super Bowl champ?
Say it again. How does it feel? Say it again, Dr.
Yes.
Hall.
Sure, no problem. How did it feel to become a Super Bowl champ?
Wow. That was a feeling like no other, because, and I tell a lot of kids, I didn't dream big enough as a kid. I had dreams of being in the NFL and had a dream of earning a scholarship, but I didn't have dreams of winning a championship. I didn't have dreams of getting a graduate degree. So I tell the kids to dream big, because all those things can happen. I never thought in a million years that I would win a Super Bowl championship. And to win one for the historical Green Bay Packers organization that's been around since 1919, to have an opportunity to play for them and to win a championship, Super Bowl 31, that meant a lot to me, because the first two Super Bowl trophies, the first two Super Bowl rings are based out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. So just to have that on my resume, just to have that type of to be standing on those type of shoulders, it was kind of overwhelming when we won the Super Bowl back in January 1997, 1996 football season. It was a feeling that I would never forget the rest of my life. And I would do everything the exact same.
That's great.
To get where I got. Yep.
And that's the thing about whatever accomplishments we do in our lives. If it's something that he set forth always when he went on the football field to finally be a champion, because not everyone who plays in the NFL has that Super Bowl ring, and there are players that have played that have hit the Hall of Fame that do not have a Super Bowl ring. So to receive that Super Bowl ring, to be a champion at the end after all that hard work and effort, tremendous for sure. Dr. Hall, continue our story as we're with Dr. George Kunc, Super Bowl champion, Green Bay Packers. Go ahead, Dr. Hall, with the next question.
Definitely. Dr. Kunc speaks about this whole idea of this bubble from being a young person in football all the way up to if you make it to the NFL. And so he certainly has written about this, and a very inspiring book. But tell us, did you have a plan after your football career, Dr. Kunc?
Right. Well, that's a great question. I thought I did. I think a lot of players that are in the locker room think they have a plan for when their playing days are done. And I was able to use my my degree from East Carolina University to build some apartments and duplexes back in eastern North Carolina. But I wasn't prepared mentally for the transition of the National Football League, and I struggled for many years. I was very fortunate to write a book called "Is There Life After Football?" Surviving the NFL. I wrote that with a couple of professors from Marquette University, Dr. Holstein and Dr. Jones. We talked to over 1,000 former players about their transition, about the challenges and the issues one would have upon leaving the National Football League. And about 95% of the players that I interviewed said that they struggled for about 2 years upon leaving the game, and I was no different. I struggled at length. I didn't have Personally, I didn't have a sense of direction, but all that changed. I was able to find my way, but it was a very difficult transition because I was leaving something that I was a part of from 9 years old until I was 32, and I was no longer doing that. I kind of felt lost. I kind of felt like a part of me kind of passed away or died, and I was able to gather myself and regain my balance and move on with my life and push that part of me, which was it was a great part of my life, kind of push that to the side and move on because football was a humongous, a very vital part of my life, but that was just the beginning to set me up to be able to do even bigger and better things for the kingdom of God.
Money is better in the NFL today than even maybe when you played, and then before that, the other people have played. So life after football, sometimes when they have the money, George, that leads them to, okay, I'm not going to really come up with a plan. But even if you have tons of money, as we're seeing right now with someone like Antonio Brown that's made some poor decisions in the last months or two, that let's say he never hits the football field again, he has money. But then it's how he's going to utilize that money and then figure out life after football and what his career will be. That's the challenge. Like, okay, I have money now and used to live in this kind of lavish lifestyle, some players. Now you're stuck where, hey, you might not have the medical benefits. You might not have, any types of things. So you're almost like the military, except a lot more money once you retire. But that plan of action as an athlete is almost like the military in so many ways of just deciding what to do because you spent your life from sun up to sundown doing that activity.
Right. That analogy for the military, the only thing that I would say that is the same is maybe the structure, but what they did in the military, they actually put their lives on the line.
Absolutely, but
so I just want to make that clear that yeah, we play football as a sport, but it's nothing like our veterans and our soldiers that goes out each and every day to protect us, to keep our republic intact. So, but I think there are some similarities to the structure that is in place in the NFL because you're all in, you're all one. A lot of players when they leave the NFL, they talk about a loss of identity. So regardless of how much money you have in your bank account or checking account, if you don't know who you are, you're going to be ripe to be exploited to take everything that you've saved your entire life.
Most definitely. All right, Dr. Hall, we're getting close to the winding down period, so now we have to ask George the next question on this story. But again, I know how you might love to summarize, Dr. Hall, but what did you gather from some of the information that George answered?
I mean, a mountain of information that I could not even elaborate on. It's just wonderful. But he is a heroic figure. He's been an inspiration for the young people for years. He's out there doing it now. And so we're certainly interested in what are your current projects right now, Dr. Koontz? Talk to us about your current projects.
Well, I work at Marion University here in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. It's about an hour north of Milwaukee. And I just have a chance to help recruit students. We have a campus of about 2,000 students. It's a Catholic university. Have a chance to raise money to give those students an opportunity because over 55% of our students are either first generation or they're from low-income families. And that's very reminiscent of the type of situation I had growing up in New Bern, North Carolina. My mom and dad separated when I was 9. So not only was it a poor area, there wasn't a lot of funds coming into the door because my mom was a single parent with 4 kids. So I can really see myself in these kids when they're walking around campus. So I've been very thankful and honored and privileged to be able to go out and raise money to help them with their tuition, because we know a college degree is a game changer. And so I'm so proud of them. And I'm just happy to be able to help, to be involved with the lives of our youth and our future leaders. So, but I want to thank Dr. Hall for having me on. I want to thank you, Neil, for having me as well. And I really appreciate it. And I look forward to teaming up with you guys.
Absolutely.
In the future.
Definitely. Where's the best?
Right.
Yeah, where's the best place we can find information? Where can we go?
Well, you can go to my Facebook, George Kuntz, on Facebook. You also can email me at George Kuntz at MarionUniversity.edu. And that's G Kuntz at MarionUniversity.edu.
All right, fantastic, George. And again, we can purchase Dr. Hall's book in all finer bookstores. Thanks, guys, for calling. Appreciate it. And what a great show.
Thank you, George.
All right, take care. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Hall.
All right, take care. All right. That was, again, the Dr. Christopher Hall Show, everybody. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Network. Again, debuting another show. And this show's unbelievable. Game planning for your business success with NFL star Anthony Griggs. Anthony, how are you, man? And it's great that we have decided to come up with a great show name, and tell us about who our amazing guest is today, and how, again, we're going to rely on talking about how important it is to plan for business success, right, Anthony?
Neil, great to talk to you, man. Great to finally get a hold of you. And before I tell you about who our guest is today, to those who don't know me, my name is Anthony Griggs, and I had a background mostly in sports. Coming from New Jersey, ended up at Villanova, ended up at Ohio State for 1 year, and getting drafted and played in the NFL for 7 years, and actually coached in the NFL for 13 years. So I had a lot of background in sports. And so this game planning for your business success comes from an idea of taking business as sport. And I wanted to have somebody on here who had a great career, somebody who is well renowned and known for his diligent and his discipline of work, and not only that, a high proficiency of getting it done. Today's guest is none other than, and every Pittsburgher should be listening to this, or they'll record it or whatever, is Dermontti Dirt Dawson, number 63, former Pittsburgh Steeler, only team he's ever played with, playing for 13 years. Where do I start with Dermontti Dawson? Because of his Hall of Fame that he was inducted in 2012. He's drafted in the second round. He played along with Mike Webster. Mike Webster was the center. The other center of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dermontti Dawson. Okay.
Hey, Anthony, how you doing?
How you doing, my man?
I am doing well. Hey, just out here in sunny California, man. Enjoying the weather.
I know you're loving it. Dermontti, it's great to talk to you. Dermontti, and you heard the format of the program, game planning for your business success. Offense and defense from a game standpoint, and being in the game, you were an offensive player, I was a defensive player, and you understand some of the things from an offensive mindset, and you understand how to go score a touchdown and get in the end zone. And I think in business, you have to do some of the same things. Dermontti, if you can tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what you've done in your life since you've stopped playing football, and how that directly relates to being an offensive-minded person in the business world.
Well, Anthony, after I retired, I was doing commercial development with one of my neighbors who had a commercial development company. And then I guess when the belly up of, the subprime market around 2007 or so, I was able to get out of it around 2009.
Wow. Okay.
And and it was horrible at that time. I guess about 2009, 2010. But after that, then I had to transition where I transitioned here to California, where I had an opportunity with a buddy of mine who owns a promotional product company called Primetime Plus in New Jersey. So I do all these different events. I'm around a lot of people, so I'm able to network. And so, you know, it's a promotional product company where, you know, we do conventions. You know, anybody who has a business who wants to promote any kind of event or their business, we can get any product on the market. And, you know, and it's great because, I mean, really, you know, some of the values and stuff that you learn playing football, you know, like teamwork and commitment, integrity, courage, respect, you know, striving for excellence and, you know, just, you know, all of those concepts and values that you learn in athletics. And as an offensive lineman as well, you know, you can transcend not only the football field, but go into the business world and be successful as well.
Now, Dermontti, I wanted to jump to that Anthony, really quickly. Dermontti talking about how he was able to transition. The important thing that Dermontti sees is his brand. And when the real estate market changed, you knew that you had to utilize your brand in so many ways to look for another opportunity, right? And it looks like the company you're with now, brand development, such an important thing. So living your brand all the time, Dermontti, from the days of being a Pittsburgh Steeler to today is very important to you, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And, you know, some guys don't have the foresight, nor do they have the right opportunities to kind of make that happen. You know, some guys don't go into business. You know, I had to go into business. I tell you what, if I was making the money these guys are making now, you know, I could have my own little business. And, you know, it's just, it's crazy just how things kind of happen, you know, and some people are successful in business and, you know, you have failures in business each and every day. You know, and it's not a guarantee that any business is going to flourish, but I think if you have the right people around you, it really enhances and makes it a little easier.
Surrounding yourself with the right people. Yes.
With the right people. Yeah. You know, because we only know what we've been exposed to. And we're not professionals in every aspect of business. And sometimes you just kind of learn on the fly. But if you have somebody who is a good, you know, teacher and helps you understand the business world, I think it's a little easier to make that transition.
I agree. I totally agree. And what company wouldn't want to have a Dermontti Dawson or the Dermontti Dawson as a representative of their company? Dermontti, you said a lot of things there, and I'm going to relate it back to football or even a sport like football. You know, you got to make plays to move the ball down the field. You got to get first downs. You got to execute. You got to do your individual position. You got to do that at a high level. And you've been able to do it far and extremely at a high level. And so when you talk about execution and just getting it done, sometimes people don't understand how do you do that, the process of disciplining yourself, or getting ready, having practice, having the look squad and getting through that. Do you do some of that now of getting yourself prepared for success?
Well, you know, I mean, if I have a company that I'm approaching and I don't know a whole lot about the company, I go on the company website and look, you know, what the company does and what their mission statement is, and you know, some of the products that they. I look at their logos. I look at the CEO and who you know, just the whole, you know, what the mission is for the company itself. You know, and I think that's an integral part of it because I mean, you got to know what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with. And I think, you know, preparation is the key. And, you know, that's one of the things we learn from football as well, you know, preparation, getting ready for your opponent. So this is just another realm in the business world, but you still can apply the same principles, you know, that we learned in football as well. And, you know, you just have to focus on the company and research the company and know what you're dealing with before you go in there and start talking, because you don't want to sit there and discredit yourself. Well, you really don't know what we do for our business and what our business really is and what we're about as a company. So that's what I try to do is I try to research companies and I try to, you know, make sure I understand which direction they're going before I even do a presentation for anybody.
That's such a great point.
Kind of important.
So Anthony, he's using his how much you guys would be on watching film and preparing before Sunday. And what Anthony's telling us, Dermonti, is that we can do the same thing in business. So if we were an athlete that prepared and learned preparation to be at the highest level, which you two attained playing in the NFL, people, everyday people listening to this program have to understand that successful people prepare, Dermonti, right? They prepare before. You got a game plan. Yes. If you don't have it, you look unprofessional and not ready. And we've seen it, Dermonti, many times where people aren't like that, are not prepared for whatever can happen.
Yeah, and and it's not a guarantee that the research and stuff that you do, sometimes you're going to fail, and sometimes no, I don't care how good your presentation is. Sometimes, some people just don't want to hear it, even though you're prepared. They may not have an interest at that time, so you will have some failures, and you have to bounce back and look for the next opportunity.
And there are opportunities out there. And the thing about it is, when you're in that huddle on the field, and just like you're in a huddle of a family or a huddle of a corporation, and they call a play that they want to have by the end of this month, they want to have certain numbers or have certain things done. Your kid's going to school, needs money, whatever they're calling you for. You got to have an idea of just an adjust to that. And I want to just talk on one thing. You being an offensive lineman, you understand it. When they talk about it's going to be a run play or a pass, there's an air game and there's a ground game for people. And I want to define what that is. A ground game is when you're meeting the person face to face, when you are in front of them and you are shaking hands and you're actually physically there. That's a physical game. And you as an offensive lineman, you understand that. The air game is when you're doing stuff over the internet, when you're sending out emails, you're doing stuff on social media, you're texting people, you're calling people. That's the air game. And so your relationship on each one of those, you have to really try to craft your own individual brand, as you had said earlier, about who you are and getting people to do that for you if you aren't really good at that. But you, being the Hall of Famer you were and the exemplary Steeler that you were, you had to do both at a high level. How did you balance that? And how do you balance it now with the air game and the things I described and your ground game when you're in front of people?
Well, when I meet people, that's the first impression. So I think that's the most important thing is, first impression, because people will make a first impression of you the first time they meet you, based on, and what I like to do is I like to make sure that I never tell anybody I play football. And I think sometimes they think size wise that maybe he played sports, but I really like people to kind of judge me on my character and the knowledge that I bring to the table, as opposed to being judged as a former football player. So I think that first meeting is instrumental when it comes to business, that first introduction. And then, once you move to the air game, it's totally different, as far as over the internet and sending information to, potential clients. You got to have a backup plan too, because not every presentation fits. You have to kind of, once you talk to the person and make that introduction, and you start talking over the internet about certain products or whatever it may be, business. You got to kind of tailor it, and then also have some other options available for them as well. In my business, anyway, for the promotional product company, we have to have multiple presentations ready, because sometimes they just don't, may not be the right product, may not be the right price point. Or we just completely get it all wrong and we need some more guidance. So that's how I prepare for it.
It's interesting you talk about the air game and the ground game, Anthony. I love this. I'm enjoying this already, learning this stuff. I'm excited to be your co-host. X's and O's and this different thing. And I love how he's bringing out the air game as the internet, and the ground game is meeting people firsthand. When you talk about specifically enough that preparation, Dermonti, and to identify those specific things when you look at a company, I look at it, the pain points in sales, and you're looking at, if you're interested in them, you got to find their pain points, what they really need help with. A lot of times we sell people products and services, Dermonti, that are not needed. So relate that to the NFL in a way like Anthony just did. Relate that to your game plan where you wanted to find the pain points of your opponent, right? The things that didn't work really well for them, where their weaknesses. While in business, you want to find them to help them. So there's a totally different atmosphere between those two, right?
Yeah, there is. And, for me, it's a little different on the promotional product side because really you have to talk to the person first and see exactly what they need, and who they've been working with in the past. Did they deliver the right products, from the description that they gave you? So yeah, it's a little different in the promotional product world because it's more definitive because they can tell you exactly what they want. And you just have to deliver, go out and look in the marketplace and see if you can find the products they're looking for or interested in, and then print them up, samples, send it to them via email, and just kind of go from there. But it is a little different in the promotional product world. But I guess the same principles still apply.
Yep. But it's, again, identify
business or in life insurance policies, whatever the case, you have to be
relationship guys that ever played the game. And I'm glad you got the notoriety. I'm glad you're on with it. And I'm sure there's more. We have to get you back on the show sometime. Neil?
Oh, yeah. Anytime.
Well, how I want to add is I think that it's important to look at in life where you're going next. And Dermontti showed us that in so many ways. When you look at successful people that have reached the highest level in sports and constantly try to attain that in the game of life, you have to listen to these people. You have to look at what they do differently than the average person does. And you two definitely do it differently in a way that everyone should program their lives. Because if we don't have a plan and no direction, there's no purpose, Dermontti. And without a purpose, you're not going to be passionate every day. You're not going to be excited to meet the day. It just really becomes just why we have such mental health issues with different people or feeling depressed, even though maybe they're not mentally, that's not really a mental health issue. It's more of they don't have direction. And that's what you try to do when you talk and speak to young people, right, Dermontti, or different people, is to try to explain that the importance of having a purpose.
That's right. Because I'm going to be doing a series called The Heart of the Hall of Famer. And what we try to do, we talk about, some of the values that made us Hall of Famers, and speaking on character and some of the things that help you build character. We talk about commitment, we talk about integrity, we talk about courage, after you have a failure, respect, and also striving for excellence. And so that's some of the things I try to talk to young kids about, building character, because you see a lot of people that are, athletically gifted, but lack character. And I would rather, you want your legacy. You want people to remember you for the person you are, the way you treated those guys, for your first meeting or just whatever you may do and whoever you may meet. You don't want them to say, football player. I don't want people to define me as just a football player. I want those guys to define me on my character, the way that I treat them and the way that I carry myself. And that's what we try to preach to some of the kids in the high schools.
That's so great. And that's something else that you did not bring up that you're currently doing. So awesome. And so that Anthony, anything else to add to what Dermontti was talking about? Another thing that he does, again, is speaking with young people, and really public speaking, a big thing for both of you guys, right, Anthony?
Oh, no doubt. I think when you talk to people, they're going to quickly, as you said, they might make a first impression.
Yes.
But they're not going to care what you say until they know how much you care.
That's right.
And
that's right.
And that's what it comes down to: business, relationships, whatever. Game planning for your business success, it's game planning for your life success, because life is a sport, and you can win it. And when you have people on like Dermontti who's able to do both pretty well, then you got to listen. I've learned a lot of things from Dermontti now, and Dermontti's, even though he's a little younger than me, he's like a mentor to me in a lot of ways of the things that he's done, and things that he's doing. I will always try to going forward, to be bouncing some things off of you, Damani, just to tell you on the path that I'm on and some things that I'm doing, and other people can do the same.
Okay. Hey, sounds good.
But that's
Sounds good, Anthony.
fantastic, and I hope that people have learned something from this. Hope you did not just listen. Hope you're going to try to implement, execute, ground game, air game. Okay, rise above the adversity. All the things that Damani talks about. Damani, any lasting words on your success? What's it really going to take?
Consistency and commitment. Those are the two keys.
Great.
Wow.
Great points.
Wow.
And is there a place, do you have a website, Dermontti, for people to connect with you? Or tell us about, again, the promotional company that you are working with as well, their information. This is what we try to do on this platform, is give an opportunity for people to promote things that are currently going on for you.
Oh yeah, well, I just do it, when I'm doing some of the different events, it's kind of just talking to people and seeing, trying to get a feel for people. Do they need anything, promotional product wise? But the company is called Primetime West, and so the company is based out of Neptune, New Jersey, called Primetime Plus. But I have the Western division of the company here in San Diego, California. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing, and going to continue to do that for a while.
Awesome.
Well, I'm from New Jersey. I'm glad it's from Neptune. I know exactly where it is. If you need any help with anything, just let me know. I'm from New Jersey too. So, Damani, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your words. But thank you so much for the future of looking at things a little differently, changing the paradigm. Neil,
all right.
Anthony,
thank you so much for making this opportunity.
Thank you.
Yes, and also, Anthony, connect with you for our listeners out there who want to connect with you, Anthony. Where can they go?
They can go to www.ag2n, AG, the number 2, and the letter N.com.
All right, guys. Well, again, that was a great show, guys. Take care, guys, and thanks for coming on.
All right. Hey, thank you.
All right, take care.
Anthony, take care. Neil, take care.
All right, okay, see ya.
All right.